Hi everybody, it's Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Swerdlow.
And this is our Expansions News Podcast for the last week of June 2015. I can't believe the year is half over.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Of course, we have an anniversary coming up soon.
We do?
We do.
Oh yes, in July.
Very soon.
Yeah, very, very good. Where do you want to go? Maybe one of you out there will invite us and take us someplace.
That sounds like fun.
That would be nice. You only have like a week, so
yeah.
Hurry up.
Send in your invitations.
Make an offer, and we'll choose the best offer. How about that one?
That sounds good. I like it.
Well, speaking of dinners and things like that, a former White House executive chef was found dead in the mountains of New Mexico, where they said he drowned. Now, an autopsy determined that the death was accidental. His name was Walter Scheid, and he was hiking. He moved from Florida to New Mexico and went hiking near Taos on a mountain trail, and they tracked his cell phone signal to a mountain in Taos, but his body was found submerged in a mountainous drainage flowing with surface runoff. Now that's a mouthful of what they said. It's to confuse everybody, because subsequent reports said he was found in 2 feet of water.
2 feet?
Yeah, 2 feet of water. So he could have stood up.
Right.
All right. And it also said that his car was found 1.7 miles from the base of the hiking trail. Now here's the thing. Well, first let me tell you.
How old was he?
He was 61.
Oh.
61. He was the White House executive chef from 1994 to 2005, and personally hired by, guess who? Hillary Clinton.
Oh, so now we put the pieces together.
Now, you know, Hillary and Bill have left a trail of destruction and death over the years.
Right.
I think it's up to like 50 or 60 people that they attribute to them. So, what did he know that he might have been writing about in a book that he mysteriously drowned in 2 feet of water?
I guess we won't know.
A hiker who's an experienced hiker. And first of all, why would he go hiking in the mountains in a place he just moved when he knew there was bad weather coming?
No, not if he's an experienced hiker. He wouldn't have done that.
And the supposition was that he got caught in this big, terrible thunderstorm, and all the rain came flooding down and washed him into this ravine and drowned him because the water overflowed. But the police said, but that never happens in that place. So how could that be? Exactly.
That doesn't make sense. And of course, I haven't seen anything, so I'm assuming they kind of, so to speak, washed this under the rug.
Well, it certainly washed him under the mountain.
And they did.
And so now he's dead. So I wonder if there'll be any telltale signs that he would be writing a book or something like that.
Or if we'll ever hear anything more.
Yeah. Now, speaking of other death and destruction and things like this, this week an 8-year-old boy was attacked by a shark off the coast of North Carolina. And the town manager, Larry Bergman, told the news station that he'd close the beach if there was a big hazard. Well, okay, now there's been 6.
6?
You think they closed the beach? 6 people attacked by sharks, and the beach is still open. And,
just this summer?
Well, June 11th, a 13-year-old girl suffered small cuts on her foot from a shark bite. 2 days later, on 2 separate shark attacks, a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old had their arms amputated after the attacks. And so here's my thing. Even if they didn't close the beach, why are people still going in the water after 6 shark attacks?
Well, tourists,
not too bright.
Yeah, but tourists might not know that. You know, people who are just there for the day or for a weekend, they don't know that.
And the next thing is, so what's spooking these sharks that come so close to the shoreline and attack people for food? So usually it means that there's something going on in the mid-Atlantic ridge off the coast of North Carolina, probably volcanic eruptions going off, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and that's spooking them. And the same thing happened in the mid-1970s, those of you who are old enough to remember, that there were shark attacks in the Massachusetts Cape Cod area, off the coast of New York and New Jersey, and that's when the movie Jaws came out. So this has happened before.
Well, obviously it's some kind of programming trigger as well.
Now, let's go to Greenland.
I've been there.
Yeah, we were in Greenland, but this is what they're saying about Greenland. that entire meltwater lakes are vanishing. And they said that Greenland's ice can generate glacial earthquakes. What they say is that vast icebergs break off at the end of tidal glaciers. They tumble in the water and jam the glaciers themselves backwards, and the result is a seismic event detectable across the Earth.
That does not make sense, I don't think.
No, it isn't. It's pieces of ice fall in the water and splash.
It's called calving. That happens all the time.
Yes, exactly. And they use that term here that it's called calving.
Yes.
It's not an earthquake.
No.
It's an impact followed by an oscillation, like a car accident. Every time there's a car accident, does that mean there's an earthquake?
Maybe.
No.
Maybe that's a new history thing.
But listen, they're saying that these are magnitude 4.6 to 5.2, pretty close to magnitude 5, they said, which is a pretty big earthquake. No, it's not. We had big earthquakes in Seattle, no? Mm-hmm. Like 7.
Yeah.
And so no, that's nothing.
No, that's not that big quake. Plus, it doesn't
And
make sense.
and it's not an earthquake.
Because, as I said, this has been happening all over the polar caps.
Yes, and it says that there's been 7 times as many of these, they're calling them glacial earthquakes, coming from Greenland since the ice has been melting. Now, we were in Greenland.
Right.
Was there ice and snow in July?
There was a lot of it.
A lot over our head.
And plus...
And not melting.
No, and people were talking about some secret bases that were in Greenland that nobody can talk about. So something else is obviously going on under the ground.
First of all, a lot of the calving is natural.
Right.
It happens all the time, even when there was no so-called global warming.
Right.
And there's also now volcanic activity under the ice, and there's literally kilometers and kilometers of ice and snow built up. They don't even know where the volcanoes are, and so when they start to vibrate and shake and start to erupt under the ice, you don't see them, but you might see earthquakes.
Well, besides that, Greenland is extremely mineral rich, which people don't realize too.
But then it goes on, these brilliant scientists say the earthquakes are not themselves destabilizing the ice sheet, but they are a marker of the fact that the ice sheet is getting smaller and retreating. No, they're not. We were there. They're the same size.
We flew over it, in fact. We saw the whole...
Same thing in Antarctica. It was snowing in the summertime. No, there was no retreat. In fact, there's more ice and snow than ever before.
We've been in Svalbard in the summer, been everywhere.
And there's always ice and snow, and it's
plenty of
cold,
it.
and there's no warming. No. Now to a really sad and serious and scary events, which everybody is aware of. That terrible terrorist attack in Tunisia on the beach, 90 miles south of Tunis in the coastal resort of Sousse, where a Tunisian terrorist, whatever you want to call him, got on the beach and started shooting, killing 38 people, most of them British. And he was purposely aiming for European people. Now, Islamic extremists of ISIS said that they were behind the attack. I think that anything, if someone falls and breaks their nose, they say, well, ISIS did it. And the man who did it was called Abu Yahya Karawani. You say that 10 times fast. And apparently was known to the authorities. So then, why was he walking around free?
With a gun?
Yeah, seriously. So there's obviously something else going on here. They're trying to scare people away and not go places, and they're trying to make the Muslims look really terrible and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, there was a suicide bomb that ripped through a Kuwaiti mosque, killing 27 people during the Ramadan Friday prayers, and that happens a lot in that part of Central Asia. And another scary thing happened in France. A man was beheaded, and his head had Arabic writing scrawled on it and placed on a fence outside the company where he was actually, I think, head of the company. How scary is that? And it was close to Lyon in the south of France. Police arrested a woman at his home who they called an ISIS fanatic. And the alleged killer is the father of 3 and was believed to be he was an employee of the man he beheaded. Now, they came up with a delivery truck. They threw gas bombs at the place. They wanted to blow it up, but they didn't. The driver of the truck, the wife, later claimed that he was a normal Muslim. What is a normal Muslim?
Well, and on top of that, one person couldn't have done all of this.
No, obviously it's a staged event.
Something happened.
And how did they go to this man and cut his head off?
Right, exactly.
Did he just let him do it?
I don't think
obviously
so.
something else going on because
Something
they drove. They said he was already beheaded when they drove up.
Yeah. So no, something else is going on. And the other thing I want to remind our viewers is that, remember, Paris is par ISIS. So here we have this activity going on in France.
Yes, but it's near Lyon, Lion.
Yeah. So there are lots of things going on, lots of symbolism here, which I'm sure will reveal itself as time goes on.
Yes. Now back to the U.S. What did I say about 2016?
You tell me.
You don't remember?
I know, but I don't know.
No, I said that's when Civil War would develop, and of course I said it would start in South Carolina. Then we had those shootings last week, 9 black people killed in the church, and now there is what is the flag of the South Carolina state the Confederate flag?
Right.
So now people are climbing up on poles, ripping the Confederate flag down, and at the same time, in the same state and elsewhere, people are protesting, saying that they should keep the Confederate flag and that the Southerners should rally around to stop it because it's part of their history and heritage. Okay, so that's like the Germans saying we need to keep the swastika because it's part of our heritage and history. Let's fly the swastika all over Germany.
Remember, I reported on this last week.
Yes, but the thing is, now there's rioting going on.
Well, there was last week too. They had 320,000 people that were out talking about it. And there was a thing that was going on around on Facebook. It was talking about how the Confederate flag actually only flew for 4 years.
Well, during the Civil War, 1861 to 1865.
4 years. And then they had one of the American flag and all the horrible things and atrocities that have been done under the American flag, and they said which is worse. So I thought that was interesting.
Every country has had atrocities.
That's right.
Should the Russians fly the hammer and sickle because it's part of their heritage, and on and on and on.
Right, exactly. So all these things are going on. Again, it's part of the show. It's part of trying to get people upset and divided and angry.
Yes, and finally, this was interesting because it was both on CNN, Fox, Yahoo, all the major conventional news services have stated that large pyramids have been found on that little planet Ceres.
I have an article
and on Mars.
Yeah, I have an article about both of those.
So good. I'm just stating that because it's a prep for you know what.
All right. Well, I'll talk more in detail, but I want to go ahead and start with mine, and we'll work that way because I have some very interesting news this week.
Okay.
And a lot of it, for those of you, I want you, if you've not read True World History, Humanity's Saga, this is an extremely important book for you to read. Because this will tell you everything that is going on in the news right now and how everything has been set up for these events. Plus, at our conference in October, we're going to be expounding on the information in this book, and we're going to be telling you more about true world histories.
Yes, and I just want to say that due to events that have happened recently, my statements during that conference may not be politically correct.
Yeah, so you're going to want to attend it. We have some really fabulously new, explosive information which we're going to be sharing with you in October. So sign up for that one. People are already registering. You want to be sure and get a seat. With that said, I'm going to start talking about the Waldensians, which again are written about in this book, which most of you don't know about, and it's extremely important part of the New World religion and history in general. Because what happened in Turin, Italy this last week, which probably most of you might have overlooked, but it's extremely important. As you remember, the Waldensians are part of my heritage, and apparently the Pope actually made concessions to the Waldensians and apologized.
That nice Pope.
And what I say is the fox enters the hen house. Because basically, do you realize in the 8 centuries that the Waldensians have lived in Italy, it has never happened. The Pope is only 240 miles from the Piedmont area and has never ever gone into that valley before.
Because they were heretics.
But what was interesting is that his parents actually come from the Piedmont Valley.
No.
Yes. And so that makes me wonder if they don't have some Waldensian background in his lineage.
That's very interesting.
That's very interesting. And so I was trying to do some research on that, but I've not been lucky yet.
Well, you'll never find the real stuff anyway.
I might not. But anyway, it was very interesting because it says he knew about the Waldensians because he was the Archbishop in Buenos Aires. And he said there have been Waldensians in Argentina and Uruguay since 1853.
Right.
But it fails to say that they were escaping persecution.
Your family went to Uruguay.
Yes, they went to Uruguay first, and I still have some there. And then, of course, they came up to the U.S. And
you know what they say, I'll go my way, you go your way.
Yeah. Anyway, it says that since Francis became Pope, he repeatedly expressed his friendship and admiration for the Waldensians. And in September of 2013, the Waldensian moderator, Eugenio Bernardini, came to the Vatican. That was 2 years ago. Now, he has movingly asked the Pope for forgiveness for historic persecutions and killings the Catholic Church perpetrated against Waldensian Christians. Then they call them a European evangelical movement and church that one pope more than 830 years ago excommunicated and another 430 years ago ordered exterminated. Well, I want to tell you that since the Waldensians have been in existence, the Catholics have been trying to get rid of them. And in this article, they perpetuate the false history that it began with Peter Waldo, where the Waldensians are actually said to be of apostolic origin. So anyway, there's a lot of falsehoods being perpetuated, but I will tell you, let me go on with this.
Dogs are getting restless.
Yeah, I guess so. They're upset at what happened to the Waldensians. Anyway, Francis tells that the Waldensians that the church unity is fruit of the Holy Spirit and does not mean uniformity. Anyway, this is very significant as far as New World religion. There are only, according to these articles, 30,000 Waldensians.
In the whole world?
In the whole world.
That doesn't make sense.
That's it. Well, no, it's very small. But the fact that the Pope is making a big show of this explains something that's going on. Now, the other interesting things, as you know, we have many friends in the Seventh-day Adventist church. And their prophet, Ellen G. White, went to the Waldensian territory and spent time there. And actually, in her book, The Great Controversy, talks about this time and what's going to be happening with the Pope and the Waldensians and so forth. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here. So keep your eye on this event. Next, following on the heels, did you know Obama is now being called Pastor Obama?
Why?
Because he delivered a eulogy at for what was her name?
Sang very badly.
Clementina.
Yeah, the one that was killed in South Carolina.
Yeah, the pastor
It's a man, by the way.
They called it as she in the article. Anyway, Clementa Pickney, who is the pastor at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, apparently, I listened to it. He talked about grace, grace, grace. Then he broke into supposedly spontaneous, which of course I don't believe. Amazing grace.
Yeah, don't give up your day job.
And then everybody rose up and it says the choir joined in and the organ, just as if on cue.
That's so he can prove he's Christian and not Muslim.
Well, it goes beyond that, in my opinion. It says this is no longer a presidential address nor a eulogy. This was an old-fashioned tent revival, a call to worship. So we have
Who said that?
It was in this article. You'll have to go back and look. But that my point being is this is a mixing now of politics and religion. We now have the president being called pastor, and I bet you we're going to hear about that again. It won't stop with this.
Well, that's because most countries in the past were run by religious people.
Absolutely.
You know?
And so we have that separate now, like everything else, they're bringing it back again. And what you have said, what was old is now new and so forth. So they're bringing the old back again. And he also talked about the Confederate flag bringing a lot of pain to a lot of people. So anyway.
Well, I do agree that it should not be used.
Well, you know what? I think
it's about slavery.
There's a lot of things that shouldn't be used. But the point is they want to legislate morality. And in my opinion, you cannot legislate morality. People have to decide for themselves. I mean, they still show the Nazi flag. And actually, the Nazi flag, as we've talked about, has origins in very sacred old ancient religions or spiritual traditions. So you have to look at what's going on behind it. Now, this was an article that one of our Polish readers sent to me based upon some of the things we've talked about before, specifically you, after your last trip to Europe, about the gas chamber in Auschwitz. In August of 2014, there was an unprecedented interview with Dr., and you have to say the first name,
Franciszek
Piper, who was the senior curator and director of archives of the State Museum in Auschwitz, who admitted on camera that crematorium number 1, alleged murderous gas chamber shown to hundreds of thousands of tourists each year in Auschwitz, was in fact built after the war by the Soviet Union on direct Stalin's orders.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, it's quite an interesting article.
Everything there is fake.
I will have that posted. And they say that this was the basis for the United States giving $100 billion to Israel since its inception in 1948, claiming that it's because of the reparations, because of all the bad things that were done to the Jewish people. Then Germany as well helped to construct Israel's domestic telephones, electrical systems, and rails, all gifts because of what supposedly that they had done. And they say, according to this article, that the $10 billion loan was never repaid back to any of these nations. And it says, while Americans sleep on the streets and the companies that employ thousands of workers go bankrupt. So that's what this article is claiming. They're also saying, let's see, this is called The Truth Behind Auschwitz, that they refute that 4.1 million people were killed, which was originally what they were saying.
It's physically impossible.
Then they reduced it to 1.1 million without explaining why they reduced it to 3 million. And then it says, prior to 1992, anyone who publicly doubted the official number of 4.1 million gassed at Auschwitz was called anti-Semitic
it's against the law
or
to say anything
neo-Nazi.
against it. Right.
Then it was reduced to 1.1 million, and that is still being questioned according to this.
Now, this was from a Polish...
a Polish source that gave this to me, but it was written. It was actually published in August of 2014, but this is an interview by the senior curator of Auschwitz. So I think it's a long article. I think it's worth your while if you're interested. But it says murderous gas chambers at Auschwitz were the justification for special treatment of Israel, and that's what gives the it validity. So I thought it was very interesting. So read that article. Next, we have a physicist named Dr. John Brandenburg who believes an ancient civilization on Mars was wiped out by a nuclear attack from another alien race. Apparently, these ancient Martians were known as Sidonians and Utopians.
Oh, I've seen that story before. He's not exactly correct.
Well, I'm just explaining what he's saying because, again, this is getting coverage now in mainstream news. So he talks about how the red surface is a result of radioactive substances and a nuclear explosion. And he goes on to talk about nuclear isotopes in the atmosphere resembling hydrogen bomb tests that may present an example of civilization wiped out by a nuclear attack from space. And then on Mars, there's also the rover had a shot footage, which of course they're calling this again by conspiracy theorists, but yet it's again on mainstream news, that there's a pyramid on Mars, and they claim that the near-perfect structure was built by an ancient civilization. So it's supposed to be car-sized, but some people say that this just was the tip, of it, right? And that there's more underneath. And then following on that is what you had reported on about NASA's Dawn probe on the surface of Ceres, the dwarf planet, that lies in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And now they're saying that cameras on the tractor-trailer-sized spacecraft have captured a baffling structure rising 3 miles above the planet's cratered surface. And they're also talking about those bright spots. That they've seen more of those. And it's NASA said those bright spots stretch to some 6 miles. That's big.
It's not natural.
And the scientists who are studying this say that it's intriguing and it beats us what it is. And that, now listen to this one. They're saying that they're hoping that they can get closer before the Dawn runs out of fuel.
Yeah, isn't that
convenient?
Interesting.
So as
they're always running out of fuel or power just before they get the information.
So anyway, I thought that was extremely
interesting. In other words, it's not going to run. They just don't want you to know.
Right, they'll tell you.
Say, yeah, we ran out of fuel and energy, so we can't tell you.
But we'll tell you when we want you to.
Yeah.
Now this one goes under the heading of please do not try this at home. Okay? There is an LA gang member who tried to gold plate his own genitals.
That goes under the heading of
brain
dead moron.
Try this at home. Apparently, this is a growing trend.
But again, if he was a gang member, he was a brain dead moron anyway.
This is a growing trend, apparently, among gang members.
Let them all do it then.
So, listen to this. This is, again, you can't make this up. It says he's died of medical complications after attempting to gold plate his own genitals to celebrate his 17th anniversary. 17 years old.
Sounds like a brilliant person.
He's originally from El Salvador, and apparently he used a professional automotive gold plater stolen from a local garage. The first he painted his genitals with a lead-based paint. I'll get this one.
Brilliant.
He was a fan of the 2002 American comedy movie Goldmember, which is a loose parody of James Bond film's Goldfinger. And he took the Spanish nickname just before he did this of pelotas de oro, meaning golden testicles.
Yeah, well, it means gold balls is what it actually means.
Well, we prefer them more politically correct.
I'm not politically correct.
So anyway, apparently Dr. Ian Josephson of the Los Angeles Community Hospital said that this is a growing trend. It's a deadly operation. It's the third case this year. And he says, I have no idea where this idea comes from, but plating one's own genitals will only ultimately end in serious medical complications like death or death.
What are they thinking?
And some experts, why do we need an expert on this, believe that find its roots in prehistoric Mesoamerican cultures where they used to use gold paint. That's a
that's a little different.
Themselves. Right. So anyway, I just can't believe that.
I mean, that's like really moronic people.
So don't try that at home, okay?
No, but you know what? Gang members should.
Yeah.
We don't need any more gang members. They should all gold plate their parts and die.
Anyway. So then I have, riding on the heels of this, I have some bad news for vegetarians.
Oh no.
Because there is a new report from the University of Missouri that the people who did the research claim that plants can actually hear themselves being eaten.
No.
And even they're eaten alive and can become defensive when they're attacked.
An attacking plant?
Well, no, if somebody's, if they're being eaten alive, they're being attacked and they become defensive.
How? Do they flap their leaves or what?
It says that plants can hear, and they hear the sounds, and they have defensive capabilities, and so it's a big study.
I've said this for years.
Well, there have been lots of studies, but I'm bringing this up again because.
How come all the things I said years ago, they did a study, and they say, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, because they read our work.
And they spent billions of dollars that gave me nothing.
Yeah, well, maybe they will now. Maybe they will.
No, they won't. They don't want me. They want my information. Then they do a study that does it, and they go, "Oh yeah, he was right."
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've also been talking about this for years too. So
yeah,
it's my work too.
I said it first.
No, I don't think so.
I said it first.
I said it before I knew you.
Try to get over yourself.
Anyway. So with that said, I want to remind people we had a great father-son, S-O-N-S-U-N webinar following on the heels of
It was really good.
Earth Mother, Birth Mother. Both of those are now available on pay-per-view. So if you have parents, which most people do.
Everyone's had parents.
You've got issues.
Be here otherwise.
Then they've got issues, and you need to watch these because these.
Of course, if you gold plate your parts, you'll never be a parent.
No, that's true. No, you'll never be a parent. You'll won't be transparent. Anyway. We have more webinars coming up for you. We have in July, we have Green Star Programming. So you want to join that one. That one's going to be good. And then in August, we have Montauk and Interdimensional Realities, culminating on Montauk Day, August 12th.
Ooh, how exciting. I think I'm going to join that one.
Yeah, and then I think that's a good idea. And then followed by that, we have our radionics webinar, or seminar, workshop. So we're building the boxes for people who have already registered. If you want to come, again, let us know as soon as possible because there will come a point where we won't be able to build any more boxes.
We won't have enough time.
No, so if you want to come, you've got to get your name on the list. We do have payment plans because you'll need to purchase a box. We have the small one and the large one. So you'll need to purchase the box and then you'll come, we'll show you how to use it. And we've had some really astounding results. We have to tell you, however, it's for entertainment purposes only. So that's up to you how you want to entertain yourself.
Yeah, I'll teach them how to entertain themselves in August.
Yeah, and then in August, you're going to be traveling in Europe. We have a lot of the dates listed on the site.
On the site already.
We have early bird specials, so you'll want to take advantage of that.
And already my consultations are getting booked up. So if you are in those places and you want a consultation, you better hurry up.
Yeah, some of them are already sold out for consultations.
Some places are already sold out, yeah.
So you want to check on the site for that. You'll be going back to Europe at the end of October, but
middle of October.
Middle of October, but it's not listed yet on the site. So watch the site for that. And then, of course, in October, which we've been talking to you about already, is our Hidden Histories and Mysteries, Digging Deeper. And then we have January 2016, our week-long Hyperspace Oversoul Extravaganza, which is our biggest class of the year and our most in-depth class of the year. So if you like Hyperspace Oversoul work, you want to learn more, and you want to have some good personal feedback, this is the class for you. And summer, right now, June of 2016, we switched gears a little bit because when I came back from Italy and I was at the PowerPoint, the top of the Cotian Alps, learning all about the Waldensian history, and I'm going to bring a tour there. I hope you'll come with me in June.
I'm invited.
If you're invited, and we're going to do some really interesting work up in the Cotian Alps on these PowerPoints. So summer of 2016, watch for that information. And, join the website, become a member, like our Facebook pages. What else do you have to say?
End of October, early November, I'm doing a special weekend at the Sanchaya Resort in Indonesia.
That'll be on the...
Yeah, but they should sign up or look for that soon because it's gonna sell out.
That one's gonna fill out too. Well, they always sell out. It's just a matter of, do you get your space and so on and so forth. So any of these events you're interested in, you do need to get, registered.
And then there's something near Milan.
That's in November. That's one of our European things. So just have to keep your eye on everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of interesting things going on in the news. It's all playing itself out exactly as we've been telling you together for the last 20 years. And of course, as I tell people, you want to remember...
20 years? I've been with you 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years in July. We've been together.
I never did anything for 20 years.
Yeah, well, I have.
Wow.
Expansions has been around for almost 40 years now. That's kind of scary.
Wow, that is pretty scary.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So, again, people, anniversary is 7/7. So we accept all gifts, cash, credit card, money order.
Whatever.
They have to be good though.
Vacations, trips, homes, castles, cars.
And if you want to come and cook dinner, hey, we're open.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, and we look forward to visiting with you in one way, shape, or form. So we have a couple, and I have to tell them, and amongst all of this, we still have a couple days with Stewart open.
There is?
I think there's about two, maybe
I
three.
need a day with me.
2 or maybe 3 before
I need
the
a day with me. I'm going to book a day with me.
Then we're going to start scheduling into 2016. So, and I'm not sure those might be taken, but you've got that. You'll have to check with Patricia.
I've had a lot of days with me.
Yeah, you have. All right. So with that said, we hope you have a wonderful week.
Yes, and enjoy the holidays coming because beginning of July 1st is Canada Day. It used to be called Dominion Day when I was young.
Yeah.
Now they call it Canada Day. And then July 4th is American Independence Day.
Yeah, so lots of holidays.
Happy whatever you celebrate.
But be careful of the triggers.
Yeah, and stay away from firecrackers and explosives.
And dangerous things. So use your brown birch symbol, lots of protection, lots of heavy violets.
Yeah, because they warned that there would be terrorist attacks on those days.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Well, they'll probably do something to try and establish fear, but of course without fear in your mind pattern, you're not going to track that. So be mindful, do your hyperspace oversoul work, and all will be well.
All right, see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.